50. He suggests that parents get 3 plastic jars and label jar 1 spend and give, jar 2 save, and jar 3 invest. When parents give their children their allowance for the week, they divide the money equally into the 3 jars. Kids and money system $, spend and give, save $, invest. The spend and give jar is for immediate spending, bubble gum, baseball cards, etc. It's also money to be used for tithing and charity. The save jar is for spending on bigger ticket items, such as a new CD or video game. The invest jar differs from the first two in that it's not for spending ever. Searles calls this jar the most important component, because if we don't have something to put away for a rainy day, the threat of debt will always hover above our heads. Adults who are serious about building long-term investment pipelines need to start managing their money according to a 3-jar system. But instead of putting their money into jars, they should put it into bank and brokerage accounts. 51. Adults and money system $, spend and give, monthly expenses, car payment, food and housing fund, etc. $, save, major expenses, family vacation, kids college, remodel, home, etc. $, invest, pipelines, stocks and bonds, IRAs, real estate, etc. Pay yourself first. The key to leveraging your money like rich people do is to pay yourself first by making regular monthly contributions into investment accounts and then leaving the money to compound. The best way to fund your investment pipelines is to take some money out of your income bucket each month and deposit it into your pipelines. Building a long-term pipeline. Picture missing how average people become millionaires. Too bad we weren't able to choose rich parents, then we wouldn't have to worry about forced savings plans and automatic payroll deductions. 52. But the truth is, the vast majority of millionaires in this country didn't inherit their fortunes. Statistics show that 4 out of 5 millionaires never inherited more than $10,000. But what they did do was copy the investment strategies of the Rockefellers and the Kennedys. In a word, self-made millionaires leveraged their money to build their own Palm Beach pipelines. How? By using the 3-jar system. Instead of spending every dime they make, they put aside a big chunk of their income in the invest jar, and let it compound year after year. Typically, millionaires save 15% to 20% of their gross income and invest it wisely in asset-building pipelines, such as stocks, bonds, closely held businesses, rental property, commercial real estate, pension funds, and the like. That's why most millionaires don't hit the $1 million mark until they're in their 50s or 60s. It can take decades before compounding really kicks into high gear. $10,000 at 10% doubles to $20,000 after 7 years, but in 50 years it will double 7 times, which calculates to almost $1.3 million. Power of compounding. $10,000 at 10% interest. Year 1 7 14 $10,000 20K 40K 21 28 35 42 49 80K 160K 320K 640K 1.3 M. If you don't have the money, what do you have to leverage? Wouldn't it be great to be a millionaire? 53. You can. You know. And you don't have to win the lottery to do it. The Millionaires Club used to be a very exclusive club. You had to be born into the right family. Go to the right schools. That's not the case anymore. Today, average people can join the Millionaires Club, too. It's open to anyone with the discipline to invest a regular portion of their income and let it compound over time. But let's face it, not everyone has the patience to spend 40 or 50 years building their retirement pipeline. And not everyone has the money to build a Palm Beach pipeline overnight. Wouldn't it be great if there were a 5-year pipeline plan whereby average people could create ongoing residual income without having to invest a small fortune? Well, there is a 5-year pipeline plan available. Best of all, you don't need lots of money to build this pipeline. Because instead of leveraging your money, you leverage your time. 54 Lesson 6 Time Leverage, the People's Pipeline. While Bruno lay in his hammock on evenings and weekends, Pablo kept digging his pipeline. The first few months, Pablo didn't have much to show for his efforts. The work was hard, even harder than Bruno's, because Pablo was working evenings and weekends, too. But Pablo kept reminding himself that tomorrow's dreams are built on today's sacrifices. Day by day he dug, an inch at a time. From the parable of the pipeline, there's an old Appalachian expression that sums up the difference between money leverage and time leverage. It goes like this: there are 2 ways to get to the top of a giant oak tree. You can sit on an acorn and wait. Or you can climb it. When people leverage their money over decades to build pipelines, they're choosing to sit on an acorn and wait. I call this the 50-year pipeline plan. This is what compounding is all about: waiting patiently while your money doubles again and again over the years. 55 There's no question that the 50-year pipeline plan works. Remember how Margaret O'Donnell's pipeline transformed her from an underpaid teacher to a multimillionaire. Like Margaret O'Donnell, I'm also a big believer in building long-term pipelines. Over the years, I've leveraged a portion of my income to build Palm Beach pipelines in everything from pension funds, to stock market accounts, to IRAs, to real estate. It's called diversification. It's called building lifelines. 50-year pipeline plan: $CDs and T-bills, pension funds, Social Security, $401, K, stocks and bonds, IRAs, your home, real estate. But I'm also a big believer in climbing oak trees. I call climbing oak trees the 5-year pipeline plan. It accomplishes the same goal as the 50-year pipeline plan: financial independence and security. But it only takes 10% of the time. That's why I've spent time, money, and effort in building several fast-growing businesses. Instead of having to wait 50 years to get to the top of the tree, I can build a business that gets me there in 2 to 5 years. 56 5-year pipeline plan: independent business owner. Time levels the playing field. The beauty of time leverage is that we've all been given the same amount of time. Which means time levels the playing field between rich people and average income earners. Whether you're Donald Trump, or Donald the dump truck driver, everyone has been given the same amount of time each day. That's why I call time leverage the people's pipeline. Time is available in equal amounts to everyone, whether they're rich or poor, man or woman, black or white, college educated or high school dropout, young or old. You can't say that about money, now can you? Think of it this way. Wouldn't it be great if you and everyone else could start every single day with $1,440 in your personal bank account? The money would be yours and yours alone, and no one could tell you what to do with it. You could spend it, invest it, blow it, burn it, give it away, leverage it, or waste it, knowing that the next morning, you'd wake up with another $1,440 in your account. If everyone could start off every day with $1,440, it would be a better, more fair world, wouldn't it? But as we're all well aware, that's not the case. When it comes to money, life isn't fair. Some 57 people are born with a silver spoon in their mouths. Some with a plastic spoon. Some with nothing but their own thumb. Fair? Maybe not. But as the song says, that's life. We don't all start every day with $1,440 in our bank accounts, that's for sure. As for time, that's a different matter. We do all start every day with 1,440 minutes in our time account, 24 hours a day times 60 minutes an hour. Since we all get the same amount of time, the difference between people who live paycheck to paycheck and people who are financially free is how they use their daily allotment of 1,440 minutes. Personal time account date ______________________________________________________________________________________________________________________ each day for checking account date pay to $1,440 minutes each day you've got more time than you think. Some people put off building their pipelines because right now is a bad time for me. Guess what? Right now is a bad time for everybody. We're all stressed. We're all busy. We're all putting out fires and dealing with unexpected emergencies. There's a word for these bad times. It's called life. Some people waste their lives waiting for the perfect time to do X, Y, or Z. Well, they'll die waiting, because there's no such thing as a perfect time. If someone told you he'd give you $1 million if you'd sit in a corner and knit for 2 hours every 58 days for a year, you'd find the time to knit, wouldn't you? It wouldn't matter if your son broke his arm on the playground or your car wouldn't start after work. Rather than forfeit $1 million, you'd find the time to knit for 2 hours, perfect time, or no perfect time. Humorist Art Buchwald put it this way: whether it's the best of times or the worst of times, it's the only time we got. Sadly, most people take time for granted, especially small amounts of time. We've been conditioned to measure time in days and weeks and years, instead of minutes and hours. We work 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. We plan our lives according to a monthly calendar. We celebrate our birthdays and anniversaries once a year. But the amazing thing about time is how a few minutes here and there every day can add up to huge chunks of time. For example, did you know how much total time the average person spends eating during their lifetimes? Would you guess a year? 2 years. The answer is 6 years. Isn't that amazing? Here are some other short daily tasks that adds up to huge blocks of time. Total time we spend on small daily tasks during our lifetime: 6 years. Eating: 5 years. Waiting in line: 4 years. Cleaning house: 3 years. Preparing meals: 2 years. Trying to return phone calls: 1 year. Searching for misplaced items: 8 months. Opening junk mail: 6 months. Sitting at red lights: 59. But my tally, that's close to 22 years out of your lifetime. Which goes to prove that 15 minutes here, half an hour there, 2 hours there, can add up to huge blocks of time. A few hours can turn into a few months. Just think for a moment what we could accomplish in our lives if we used a couple hours each evening and on the weekends to do something purposeful, like building a pipeline. If you set aside 2 hours each workday, let's say 1 in the morning before work and 1 in the evening and 3 more hours on both Saturday and Sunday, you could add 16 hours of productive time a week to your schedule. 16 hours a week over 50 weeks a year comes to 800 extra hours a year, which calculates to 108-hour days, or 3 months and 10 days of extra 8-hour workdays each year. And all you had to do was set aside a couple of hours a day to get 3 extra months of productive time each year. Amazing, isn't it? Productive free time: 2 hours/day, x, 5 days, equals 10 hours/week, 3 hours/Saturday. And Sunday, equals 6 hours/week. Total extra time, 16 hours/week. 60 time is money. Now, I'm going to let you in on a little secret. Using free time productively is one of the keys to why successful people have more, do more, and get more in life. Do you think Bill Gates comes home at 5:00 p.m. every day and watches 7 hours of TV like the average American male does? I don't think so. A recent article in the Wall Street Journal states that the top 10% of earners in North America work an average of 52 hours a week, whereas those in the bottom 10% of earners work only 45 hours a week. Not only do the top 10% ERS work longer, they work smarter. In other words, they don't trade their time for dollars. You won't walk into a convenience store and see Michael Jordan behind the counter selling customers lottery tickets and quarts of beer. Successful people in every line of work value their time, and they seek every opportunity to leverage their time. Waste not, want not. People often ask me why they should take the time and effort to build pipelines when things are going so well right at the moment. They tell me they deserve to relax after a hard day at the office. They reward themselves by learning back in the lazy-boy recliner and watching TV until bedtime. Life is good, they tell me. Got a good job. Got a few bucks in the bank. Kids are doing well in school. No need to rock the boat. That's when I tell them that there's no better time to build your pipeline than when things are going 61 great. Why? Because when the tide turns, it may be too late. Then I tell them this old joke. A man was on the 30th floor of fancy hotel overlooking Central Park in Manhattan. He pulled back the shades and threw open the window to enjoy the view. As he leaned out the window, he was startled to see a man falling past his room. "How you doing?" he asked the falling man. "Fine so far," came the reply. The point is that there are lots of bucket carriers in this world who are doing fine so far. But they can't stay in a free fall forever. As long as people trade time for dollars, there's no safety net in their lives. Why? Because when they can't put in the time due to illness, or injury, or layoffs, their paychecks will stop. For bucket carriers, no paycheck means no security. Financial security picture missing: no paycheck equals no security. The fable of the ant and the grasshopper. As I write this, consumer confidence is high. Unemployment is low. Incomes are rising. Home sales are at record highs. Car sales are booming. Lots of people are fine so far. 62. But we can't fall into the trap of mistaking so far for forever. Everybody knows that life goes in cycles. So does the economy. Right now the business cycle is nearing its zenith. Your personal life cycle may be at an all-time high, too. But what goes up, must come down. And when people start coming down, some of them are going to crash into some hard realities: layoffs, career changes, credit card debt, medical emergencies, nursing home care for elderly parents. Smart people understand that the best time to feather their nest is while business is booming. Smart people erect safety nets before a recession starts, not during. That's why I tell people that today is the best time to build their pipelines, not when the economy hits the skids. It's like the fable of the ant and the grasshopper. The ant was a pipeline builder. He spent part of his summer days storing away grain for the coming winter. He enjoyed the summer, too. But he had the wisdom to spend some of his time building his pipeline. The grasshopper, on the other hand, was a bucket carrier. He spent all of his money as soon as he got it and wasted all of his time playing in the sunshine. He ignored the coming winter. When the cold winter came, he had no pipeline in place. And he starved to death. Pay me now. Or pay me later. Do you remember the famous advertising slogan, "Pay me now, or pay me later"? The same goes 63 for building pipelines. You can pay a little now by investing some of your time and money to build your pipelines today, or you can pay a lot later by struggling to survive on a small social security check when you're in your 60s and 70s. Just think, if your pipelines are in place, instead of having to pay later, you'll get paid later. What a concept! Pay now plan investments of time and money. Pay later plan social security benefits versus pay to underscore 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 dollar underscore 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 small monthly social security check. Time leverage, the people's pipeline. Remember, time levels the playing field. We all do not have the same amount of money to leverage, but we all do have the same amount of time. By leveraging some of your leisure time wisely, you can build a pipeline that will continue to pay for years. We're lucky to be living in an age when virtually anyone can leverage their time to build pipelines. That hasn't always been the case. At the turn of the 20th century, only the very rich had the luxury of leveraging their time. In 1890, the vast majority of people worked 10 hours a day as laborers. They were too busy trying to stay alive to think about leverage. 64 But today more people have more free time than ever before in history. And time is the great equalizer. Time enables the little guy to compete with the big boys. Rich people don't get 48 hours a day while poor people get 12. They both get equal amounts of time 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. The greatest time leveraging tool in history today, pipelines are no longer the province of the rich. Anyone with a little time, and a lot of drive, can leverage their time to build a people's pipeline in 2 to 5 years that will flow for years or even decades. In fact, we have right at our fingertips the greatest time leveraging tool in the history of the world. This time leveraging tool has created more millionaires in less time than any other single invention in history. I call this amazing tool the e-pipeline, and it's the ultimate tool for time leverage. You probably know the e-pipeline by a different name, a name that is flashed across newspaper headlines and TV screens 24 hours a day. That name? The Internet. Greatest time leveraging tool in history. 100 hours 1 hour Internet. 65 Part 3 The Ultimate Pipeline. 66 Lesson 7 E-Compounding. The Ultimate Pipeline. Pablo the Pipeline Man became known as Pablo the Miracle Maker. Politicians lauded him for his vision and begged him to run for mayor. But Pablo understood that what he had accomplished wasn't a miracle. It was merely the first stage of a big dream. You see, Pablo had plans that reached far beyond his village. Pablo planned to build pipelines all over the world. From the parable of the pipeline up to this point, we've talked about how people can leverage their time and money to build pipelines of ongoing residual income. The question is, what is the most powerful and productive pipeline in the new economy? The answer is the Internet, a breakthrough technology I call the e-pipeline of the new economy. Folks, the Internet is transforming the way the world lives, works, and plays. In a word, the Internet is the future and the future is now. In this chapter I'll show you how you can take advantage of the greatest leveraging tool in history, the Internet, to create a pipeline of ongoing 67 residual income that you can build in 2 to 5 years, instead of 50 years. The Internet revolution is just beginning. The Internet age is revolutionizing the world, that's for sure. Jack Welch, CEO of General Electric, told the Wall Street Journal that the Internet was the greatest change in business in his lifetime, and Welch was born in 1936. Andy Grove, the chairman of Intel, was even more direct in his assessment. In 5 years, every company will be an Internet company or they won't be a company at all. It's a wired world after all. What makes the Internet pipeline so powerful? Well, think for a moment what the Internet really is. It's millions of people all over the globe, each connected via a computer or cell phone, able to instantly communicate with or sell to each other 24/7/365. All for the price of a local telephone call. It's mind-boggling. The Internet is as fast as the speed of light, costs a few dollars a day to use, is always on, has limitless applications, and interconnects the world. and 100 million people were wired to the web in less than half the time it took to build the Brooklyn Bridge. By 2003, more than 1 billion people will be online, purchasing $1 trillion of products and services via e-commerce. That's not hype, that's a global revolution. 68 The Internet, your PC, the globe, 1 billion people online, e-commerce equals $1 trillion plus a year. The problem with the Internet is truly revolutionary, but it's far from perfect. In fact, the Internet has a problem. A big problem. The Internet's biggest strength is also its biggest weakness. It's too big. Too crowded. Too confusing. Too competitive. Too high. Where do you shop? How do you buy? Who do you trust? It's overwhelming. According to the experts, e-commerce sites are facing three major challenges. 1. They need more traffic. 2. They need more sales. 3. They need more repeat business. The Internet needs loyal customers. In a nutshell, most e-commerce sites are hurting for customers, loyal customers. By loyal customers I mean people who have a reason to buy from an e-commerce site week after week and month after month, instead of once in a blue moon. 69 We hear a lot of talk about how many hits a website gets. But hits don't bring in revenue. Hits are like the members of walking clubs who meet every morning at the local shopping mall. They use the mall to exercise, not to shop. They have no intention of shopping. Once their walk is over, they jump in their car and go shop somewhere else. Likewise, hits on a website are just people going out for a stroll on the Internet. Hits don't bring in revenue. Sales bring in revenue. And the truth is, most e-commerce sites are hurting for sales. Why? Because at most sites, shoppers have no incentive to make weekly and monthly purchases. Internet users have no loyalty because most e-commerce sites are more concerned about offering the lowest price than they are about building long-term relationships. Internet's biggest problem: little loyalty. Relationships to the rescue. What's the secret to creating customer loyalty in the Internet age? Relationships. Establishing real, rock-solid, long-term relationships with real people, as opposed to high relationships with eyeballs and hits, is what will separate the successful e-commerce sites from the has-beens. 70 You see, the high of the Internet needs the heat touch of person-to-person relationships. As John Naisbitt observed 20 years ago, the more high we have, the more high touch we need. That's why today, more than ever, people seek out and need the warmth of the human touch to counterbalance the cold environment of .coms and digits. Think for a moment, did you choose the last movie you saw from a website's banner ad? Doubtful. Most likely a friend or coworker recommended the movie. Same goes for your favorite websites. Most likely they were recommended by someone you knew and trusted, as opposed to your falling for a slick TV commercial or clicking on a rotating banner ad. Truth is, word-of-mouth recommendations have always been the most effective form of advertising. That's especially true today. You see, people like dealing with people. People trust and value he-touch relationships. Don't you? And relationships solve the Internet's biggest problem: a lack of loyal customers. That's where you come in. You recommend products and services all day, every day, for free. and people shop and buy based on your recommendations. Wouldn't it be great to get paid for it? You can. By leveraging your time and relationships, you can create loyal customers for relationship-driven e-commerce sites, while creating a pipeline of ongoing residual income for yourself. 71. It's a win/win. The e-commerce site gets more loyal customers, and you get paid for recommending products and services you use and enjoy. I call it the ultimate pipeline, and it's just waiting to be tapped by you. Ultimate pipeline e-commerce wins. You win more loyal customers $$ for referrals you talk. They tech. Basically, here's how the ultimate pipeline works. You and an established e-business enter into an affiliate partnership. Your role is to talk you direct people to the company's e-commerce site. In return for your recommendations, the e-biz pays you a commission on all the products purchased by your referrals. The e-commerce company's role is to tech. They provide the website, take the online orders, ship the products, process the credit cards, and handle the accounting. In return for paying out referral fees, the company gets loyal customers who return to the site again and again. As I said, it's a win/win. The company solves its biggest problem: lack of loyal customers. And you build a pipeline of ongoing residual income. You talk. They tech. It's simple, brilliantly simple. 72. With the ultimate pipeline, you don't need any special skills. You do what you do every day. You talk to people. You help people cut through the clutter of the internet, and you get paid for it. How much can you earn from your ultimate pipeline? That's up to you. The sky's the limit. The more people in your referral network, the bigger your residual pipeline. In fact, it's not uncommon for people to receive residual income from tens of thousands of referrals, even hundreds of thousands of referrals. How could one individual personally recommend products to tens of thousands of people? That's impossible, you may say. Not if you use the magic of compounding. As you will soon see, Einstein had good reason to call compounding the eighth wonder of the world. Compounding, the ultimate pipeline. Do you remember the earlier story about the Chinese emperor and the inventor of chess? The inventor only wanted 1 grain of rice for his compensation, but he wanted it doubled for each square on the chessboard. The total ended up being 10 times more rice than there was in the entire world. The story illustrates the amazing power of compounding, also known as the doubling concept. Just imagine for a moment what would happen if you took the concept of compounding, and somehow combined it with e-commerce. The result would be e-compounding. 73. Power of compounding. A graph missing. Just think of the potential of e-compounding. The exponential growth of compounding, combined with the reach and speed of the internet. Wow. Well, that's why I call e-compounding the ultimate pipeline. You get paid to compound your time and relationships via the internet. Just think, with e-compounding, you can get the results of the Palm Beach pipeline without having to invest a fortune. Instead of leveraging your money, you leverage your time and relationships to build your own ultimate pipeline. Now it's time to find out how. Leveraging the ultimate pipeline. Time. E-compounding. 74. E-compounding math. 1 + 1 × 12 = boom. Do you think it's possible to find just one person each month to join you in your new e-compounding business? Just one partner who's interested in more financial security, more freedom, more recognition, and more happiness. One good person a month, that's all it takes. E-compounding month 1, you your partner 1. Once you partner with that new person, you become his or her coach. You teach him how to form affiliate partnerships with his friends and acquaintances, while you partner with a second person. So, by the end of month 2, you would have 2 affiliate partners. Meanwhile, your first partner has also brought a new person into your affiliate network. E-compounding month 2, you your partner 1, their partner 1, your partner 275. Now you have a group of 4, you and 3 others, isn't that correct? You can build your e-compounding network faster by partnering with more people each month, but let's assume you take the slow and steady course. Then you keep repeating the process. By the end of the first year, you would have personally partnered with 12 people, 1 new person each month. And let's assume that each one of them has partnered with 1 new person each month, as well. This is where the magic of compounding kicks in. By the end of 12 months, your network could compound to 4,096 affiliated independent business owners. E-compounding month 12, you 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 etc. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 etc. Total, 4,096 people. Now, here's the really exciting part. The e-commerce company pays you a percentage of the sales volume of your entire affiliate network. If you have 4,000 people buying an average of $100 worth of products each month, the total product volume is $400,000 a month. If your eBiz partner pays you 1% to 3% of that volume, you'd be earning $4,000 to $12,000 a month. 76 E-compounding missing picture. Now do you see why I call e-compounding the ultimate pipeline? It combines the exponential growth of compounding with the convenience and the reach of e-commerce. Not only does the ultimate pipeline keep pumping out profits, but, like Pablo, you grow your pipeline by leveraging your time, instead of your money. No special skills required. The beauty of e-compounding is that you don't need a lot of money to get started. It only takes months or a few years to build, as opposed to decades. And you don't need any special skills. You just do what you do every day: talk to people. You help people cut through the confusion and clutter of the internet, and you get paid for it. If you can talk, and point and click, then you can leverage your time and your relationships to build the ultimate pipeline. The ultimate pipeline lets us learn from the Palm Beach pipeline people. We copy the concept of compounding. But instead of compounding our money, we compound our time and relationships. As a result, we can get the results of a Palm Beach pipeline at a fraction of the money and in a fraction of the time. 77 That's why hundreds of thousands of average people all over the world are busy building ultimate pipelines. They can enjoy the same benefits the rich enjoy with their Palm Beach pipelines, but instead of having to leverage a ton on money, they leverage their time. Instead of having to wait 50 years to receive the benefits of their pipeline, they can start enjoying profits in months. It's a no-brainer. Two types of leverage. Rich people leverage money. Dollar 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 dollar. Average people leverage time. Dollar 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 time. Investments. Compounding new business model for a new millennium. Gary Hamel, author of the bestseller Leading the Revolution, says that in a high world, only those companies that are capable of creating industry revolutions will prosper in the new economy. Hamel argues that today, companies will compete not in products and services but in the ability to devise ideas for innovative businesses. He goes on to say that creating better business concepts is nothing new. Henry Ford's breakthrough concept was to make a car that any working man could afford. Ford originally built one car to fit everyone's needs. You can have any 78 color Model T you want so long as it's black, was Ford's response to requests for more variety. Alfred Sloan at General Motors improved on Ford's concept. He understood that the customer is king, and he sought ways to meet individual needs and tastes. Sloan's now famous slogan was "A car for every purpose and purse." Because of Sloan's better business concept, GM vaulted past Ford. Today GM is the biggest revenue-producing company in the world. New and improved model like GM, e-compounding is an improvement on the original e-commerce concept, a better way of attracting new customers and fostering their loyalty. E-compounding reminds me of the Family Circus cartoon where 5-year-old Dolly explains to her younger brother where butterflies come from. Butterflies are new and improved caterpillars, she says. Well, e-compounding is new and improved e-commerce. Without word-of-mouth marketing, referral fees, and the power of compounding, e-commerce would never have broken out of its cocoon. E-commerce lacks loyal customers. E-compounding versus lots of loyal customers, but e-compounding offers a new and improved way for e-commerce to sprout its wings and fulfill its potential. As a result, referral-based internet companies are flourishing while hundreds of deep discount e-tailers are drowning in debt. 79 But instead of a car for every purpose and purse, e-compounding is a pipeline for every purpose and purse. Your purpose may be to earn enough money to afford an extra nice Christmas. Or your purpose may be to escape from a dead-end job and build ultimate pipelines that will circle the globe. And your purse may be to earn a few extra dollars a month. Or your purse may be to become a millionaire many times over. E-compounding is the ultimate pipeline. How big you build it is up to you. Which ultimate pipeline do you prefer? Missing picture 80 Lesson 8 Do you prefer the 50-year plan or the 5-year plan? Sadly, most bucket carriers would hastily dismiss the notion of a pipeline. Pablo and Bruno heard the same excuses over and over. It made Pablo and Bruno sad that so many people lacked vision. From the parable of the pipeline. Here's an old joke that teaches two important lessons about pipelines. A man named Joe worked for years in a low-paying job he hated. But Joe was determined to retire rich. So he scrimped and saved every penny he could and worked nights and weekends in a second job to fuel his investment pipeline. After 50 years, his discipline and sacrifice paid off. He was finally financially free. Joe decided that now that he was 70 years old, he was going to live it up. He decided it was time to indulge his lifelong dream of scuba diving all over the world. Joe spent thousands of his hard-earned dollars on lessons and diving equipment. He flew 81 first class to Hawaii, where he had reserved a suite at the Ritz-Carlton. The next day he headed out to dive Hawaii's most beautiful reef. His dream had finally come true. He felt a sense of pride as he suited up in his expensive equipment custom-made wetsuit, specially built aluminum oxygen tanks, German-engineered underwater cameras, waterproof pen and underwater pad for writing notes. Joe was ready. Joe savored every moment as he swam down toward the rainbow-colored coral reef. He photographed the exotic fish as he descended. His first dive was everything he had dreamed about. He had spent tens of thousands of dollars on his new hobby, but it was worth every penny. This was worth the wait, Joe said to himself. This is perfect. Suddenly, Joe was shocked to see a man swimming 10 feet below him wearing only swimming trunks. Joe furiously scribbled a message on his notepad. Then he flippered down to the man and tapped him on the shoulder. Joe scowled as he handed the man the notepad with this message: "I spent thousands of dollars on scuba diving equipment, and here you are in just your swimming suit. What gives?" The man grabbed the pad and wrote, "I'm drowning. I'm drowning." 82 Lots of people are drowning. The first lesson we learn from this joke is that things aren't always what they seem. Joe thought the guy was enjoying a leisurely dive. But the truth was much different. The guy was drowning. Appearances can be deceiving when it comes to finances, too. People who wear Rolex watches and designer clothes appear to be financially independent, but many of them are drowning in debt. When Thomas J. Stanley and William D. Danko, the authors of The Millionaire Next Door, started researching their book, they sought interviews with people who had a net worth of $1 million or more. Assuming that the richest people lived in the most expensive houses, the authors surveyed people in upscale neighborhoods across the country. But the authors soon discovered that many people living in big homes and driving expensive cars hadn't accumulated much wealth. Why? Because they were spending their money to support lavish lifestyles instead of putting a portion of it aside to build pipelines. Stanley and Danko adopted a folksy Texas saying to describe these mega-consumers: big hat, no cattle. The cowboy metaphor paints a pretty vivid picture, doesn't it? Big hat, no cattle picture missing. 83 The power of the 50-year pipeline plan. The second lesson that we learn from the diving story involves Joe's plan to become financially independent. Joe's 50-year pipeline plan is a classic example of the good news/bad news scenario. Let's look at the good news first. The good news about the 50-year pipeline plan is that it works. Saving and investing small amounts of money in the stock market on a monthly basis over time is a surefire way for people of modest means to become financially independent. The key to long-term investing is to make regular deposits over a long period of time and then let it compound year after year. If people start early enough and stick to their pipeline plan, they can become millionaires by saving just $100 a month. Impossible, you say? The following chart tells the tale: how to accumulate $1 million by age 65 assuming a 12% annual interest rate * starting daily, monthly, yearly, years. It takes age savings to build $1 million. $25, $3.57, $109, 1,304, 40 years, $35, $11.35, $345 $4,144, 30 years $45, 38.02, $1,157, $13,879, 20 years 55, $156.12, $4,749, $56,984, 10 years from The Wise Investor by Neil E. Elmucci *, considering that the stock market has averaged 11% over the last 70 years and 25% over the last decade, 12% is a fair and reasonable rate of return. 84. It's amazing to learn that it's easy to become a millionaire if you start building your long-term pipeline early enough. Virtually anybody living above the poverty line can do it. All anyone needs to do is to invest $3.57 a day, every day, in a mutual fund returning 12% interest, and let it compound for 40 years. Instant millionaire. Well, maybe not instant but definitely a millionaire. Think of it this way: 1 out of 3 Americans smokes cigarettes. In Florida, a pack of cigarettes costs about $3.57. If every person who smoked quit at age 25 and invested their cigarette money in the market and let it compound for 40 years, 1/3 of Americans would be millionaires by the time they turned 65. Isn't that amazing? Don't you wish someone had pointed that out to you when you were 25 years old? Even at 35 and 45, it's still possible for the average household to build a millionaire pipeline. But people who wait until they're 55 to start saving for retirement are facing a steep mountain, that's for sure. The biggest risk is not investing in the market. Many people still think it's too risky to invest in the stock market. And, yes, some stocks go down. And sometimes the entire market goes down, as it did in the crash of 1929. But all of the wizards on Wall Street say that over time, investing in the stock market is the easiest and 85% surest way to build a profit-pumping pipeline. The facts support the experts. During the 200-plus years the New York Stock Exchange has been in business, stocks have averaged going up 2 out of every 3 days. Since World War II, the stock market has gone up 71-fold, despite 9 recessions during that 55-year span. According to Jeremy Siegel's book Stocks for the Long Run, in the 195 years from 1802 to 1997, $1 invested in gold would have grown to just $11.17. That same dollar invested in stocks would have compounded to $7.5 million. 1997 $1,802 $7 million $1 stock market. The point is that building a 50-year pipeline has its place, no doubt about it. Most people have several 50 or 7R pipelines under construction. Their home is one long-term pipeline. Social Security is yet another. Unfortunately, all too many people stop at these 2 pipelines. Most people's 50-year pipeline plan Social Security their home. $86 smart people, on the other hand, continue to build additional long-term pipelines through investment portfolios, pension plans, IRAs, and the like. All of these are great long-term pipelines, and they're available to anyone with the good sense and the discipline to build them over time. Smart people's 50-year pipeline plan. Missing picture. Downside to the 50-year plan. Okay, I just told you the good news about the 50YEAR pipeline plan. Virtually every working family can build $1 million pipeline if they start saving monthly and allowing their investments to compound over time. But the bad news is that most people want to enjoy the benefits of a pipeline today instead of having to wait 20, 30, 40, or even 50 years. I admit it, I want to enjoy the finer things in life today, not half a century down the road. Yes, I believe in building long-term pipelines. I have several under construction. But the truth is, I'd rather spend money than save it. I like the things 87 money can buy. I expect you feel the same way, too. I enjoy a great meal in a first-class restaurant. I like taking my family on ski vacations and cruises. We've created some of our best memories during vacations. I love the smell of new car interiors. I like driving a big Mercedes more than a small Mazda. I want to use my cell phone any time of the day, not just evenings and weekends when the rates are cheaper. And I'd rather spend $20 going to a hit movie as soon as it's out, rather than waiting 3 months so I can rent it for $3. Here's the bottom line. Long-term pipelines are essential for people who want to enjoy a worry-free retirement. That's why everyone should build 50YEAR pipeline. But let's get real. Do you really want to wait 50 years to enjoy the benefits of a pipeline? Not me. I'm willing to make sacrifices to build my retirement pipeline. But I don't want to have to live like a monk for 50 years in order to do it. I want to live my dreams right now, while I'm still young and the kids are at home. I don't want to wait until I'm 65 or 70 to start living my dreams like the scuba diver in the opening story. I'm sure you feel the same. Have your cake and eat it, too. As I said earlier, a long-term pipeline should be at least one of the pipelines you build. But not the only pipeline you build. Just as you shouldn't put all your eggs in one basket, you shouldn't put all your profits in one pipeline. 88 Well, with a 5-year pipeline plan, you can not only diversify your portfolio of pipelines, but you can dream big dreams and start living them right away, instead of when you're in your 60s or 70s. You can have your cake and eat it, too. Think about it. Wouldn't you rather be financially free in 5 years instead of 50 years? Of course you would. Who wouldn't? That's why I recommend you build your 5-year pipeline while you're building your 50-year pipelines. 2 types of pipelines: long-term and 50 years short-term. 2 5 years. The ultimate pipeline e-compounding can be built in 2 to 5 years, instead of 50. And it can start pumping profits within months instead of decades. You can start building your ultimate pipeline part-time, in the evenings and weekends, until gradually, it pumps enough profits for you to begin building it full-time. Just think, the ultimate pipeline can get you to the top of the oak tree in a fraction of the time that it would take a 50-year pipeline. And best of all, you don't have to save or invest a truckload of money to build your 5-year pipeline. All you need to do is leverage your time and your relationships. Time and relationships. E-compounding 89 Live for today. Plan for tomorrow. Years ago my father gave me some great advice. He said, "Live for today, plan for tomorrow." I've never forgotten those words, and I repeat them regularly to my 4 children. Building a 5-year pipeline while you're building your 50-year pipeline empowers you to follow my father's sage advice. You see, the ultimate pipeline plan, the 5-year pipeline, enables you to live for today because you can start enjoying the fruits of your labor within months. The 50-year pipeline plan, on the other hand, allows you to plan for tomorrow. That's why I advise people to build both long-term and short-term pipelines. Pipelines are your lifelines. Missing picture. $security, $freedom, $happiness, $control. When my father advised me to live for today, plan for tomorrow, what he was really saying was pipelines are your lifelines. So become a pipeline builder, not a bucket carrier. Great advice, Dad. Great advice. 90. Conclusion. The Parable of the Ultimate Pipeline. Year 2001, Silicon Valley, USA. Once upon a time, very recently, two ambitious young cousins named Paul and Bruce worked side by side as middle managers for Cistern International, a multinational conglomerate that owned electric and water utilities all over the world. The young men were best buddies and big dreamers. They would talk about how someday, some way, they would become totally financially free. They were both bright and hard-working. All they needed was an opportunity. One day that opportunity arrived. The company decided to appoint the two friends as senior managers in Cistern's worldwide software division. Their monthly salary was double what it had been. "This is our dream come true," shouted Bruce. "I can't believe our good fortune." But Paul wasn't so sure. 91. At the end of the first 10-hour day, Paul's back ached and his fingertips were sore from customizing software. He was in charge of 50 employees, most of whom were uncooperative and unmotivated. He loathed the idea of traveling to foreign offices for weeks at a time. His boss at Cistern was moody, rude, and demanding. Paul dreaded getting up and going into work the next morning. He vowed to think of a better way of living and working. "Paul, the pipeline man." "Bruce, I have a plan," Paul said the next morning before they settled into their cubicles and booted up their servers. "Instead of trading our time and talents answering to a tyrant of a boss and managing unmotivated employees in exchange for a weekly paycheck, let's leverage the internet to create residual income." "Having a job is like carrying buckets," Paul continued. "One bucket of work equals one bucket of pay. But if the work stops because of illness or layoffs, the paychecks stop. A job time $1 bucket work equals 1 bucket pay. We need a career that will create ongoing residual income. Residual income is like building a pipeline. We do the work once and get paid over and over." 92 again. "Bruce, we need to start thinking and acting like pipeline builders instead of bucket carriers. Pipeline residual income. A former employee of mine is helping me build a pipeline on the internet. He calls it the ultimate pipeline because it combines the power of e-commerce with the power of compounding. The ultimate pipeline is my business. I own it. I work from home. There's no overhead. No employees. No payroll. No inventory to speak of. It's lean. It's mean. It's web-based. And it offers a way to create ongoing residual income. Ultimate pipeline. E-compounding. No boss, security, freedom, independent business owner, no employees, no payroll, small inventory, no overhead." Bruce stopped dead in his tracks. A pipeline on the internet. Whoever heard of such a thing? Bruce shouted. We've got a great job, Bruce said emphatically. Don't rock the boat. We've got job security with great benefits. We have weekends off, land, 2 weeks paid vacation every year. We're set for life. Get out of here with your ultimate pipeline. 93 But Paul was not easily discouraged. He patiently explained the ultimate pipeline plan to his best friend. Paul would work part of the day at his salaried job and then use his evenings and weekends to build a pipeline on the internet. Paul also knew it would take a year, possibly 2, before his ultimate pipeline would be big enough to start pumping big profits. But Paul believed in his dream of owning his own business, and owning his own life. He was determined to make it work. Small actions equal big results. While Bruce sat in his La-Z-Boy recliner on evenings and weekends, Paul kept building his ultimate pipeline. The first few months Paul didn't have much to show for his efforts. The web-based pipeline business was new to him. He had to learn a new system and teach it to others. He talked daily to his mentors and attended weekend trainings to improve his business building skills. He read personal growth books and listened to tapes recommended by his mentors. Day by day, Paul improved his business building skills. He learned how to engage people in conversations, how to get people to talk about their dreams, how to handle objections gracefully, how to coach people to bring out the best in them. Gradually, he began to believe more and more in himself, in his opportunity, and in his new business partners. This was new territory for Paul. But as his knowledge and confidence grew, so did his internet pipeline. 94 Paul kept reminding himself that tomorrow's dreams are built on today's sacrifices. Day by day he built his ultimate pipeline, one conversation at a time. If my dream is big enough, the facts don't count, he chanted to himself as he picked up the phone to call another prospect. Short-term investment equals long-term rewards, he reminded himself as he set his daily and weekly goals, knowing that, over time, the results would far exceed the effort. Keep your eyes on the prize, he repeated over and over as he drifted off to sleep while listening to a training audio by a successful LBiz builder. Keep your eyes on the prize. The tables are turned, days turned into months. One day Paul realized that his e-pipeline was pumping enough profits to equal half his monthly salary. Paul continued to work hard at his day job, but he used his spare time even more productively. He knew it was only a matter of months before his part-time pipeline income exceeded the income from his full-time job. During his lunch breaks at Cistern, Paul would watch his old friend Bruce scurrying from cubicle to cubicle. Bruce's bucket-carrying job was beginning to take its toll. Bruce was looking more and more stressed by a demanding boss, unrealistic deadlines, and daily rumors of layoffs. 95 On weekends, Bruce would write dozens of resignation letters. But he never mailed them. He had bills to pay. He needed his paycheck too much to quit. He felt trapped. He felt empty inside. The wastebasket in his office wasn't empty, however. It was filled to the brim with wadded-up resignation letters. Resigning from his job finally, Paul's big day arrived. His monthly Epipline check exceeded his monthly salary at Cistern. His wife made color copies of his check from Cistern and the check from his new e-business and framed them side by side. His new pipeline partners cheered as he held up the framed checks. Cameras flashed, and Paul's eyes glistened with joy. One day in the future equals pipeline income $job income. Paul was the only worker at Cistern who wasn't intimidated by his boss. Because of his ultimate pipeline, Paul was free. That knowledge gave Paul confidence. Paul handled his boss's outbursts calmly. Paul squared his shoulders and looked right in his boss's eye during his tirades. "It's not necessary to shout," Paul would say firmly. "I'm standing right here in front of you. Wouldn't you agree we'd be more effective if we discussed this calmly?" 96 Paul's co-workers began calling him the lion tamer for the way he handled his boss. But Paul understood that he wasn't taming his boss. Paul was only standing up to him because he no longer had the power to control Paul's life. One evening Paul sat down in his home-based office and wrote the following letter: "Dear Mr. Boss, I am writing to inform you that effective immediately, I am resigning from Cistern International. I have enjoyed my time at Cistern, but I regret to inform you that the company can no longer afford my services. Yours freely, Pipeline Paul." Paul felt a surge of freedom as he folded his resignation letter and inserted it into an envelope. He looked forward to the future with hope and optimism. Paul understood that what he'd accomplished with his internet pipeline was only the first stage of a big dream. You see, Paul had plans that reached far beyond the walls of Cistern Industries. Paul planned to build internet pipelines all over North America and eventually, all over the world. 97 Recruiting his friend to help Paul's web-based business continued to flourish. He had never been happier, or more fulfilled. But the same couldn't be said for his former co-workers at Cistern. The company was moving more and more of their business online, which meant Paul's old department was downsized. Because of his big salary, Bruce was the first to go. It pained Paul to see Bruce begging his friends for consulting work on their outdated PCs. So Paul arranged a meeting with Bruce. "Bruce, I've come to ask for your help." Bruce straightened his stooped shoulders, and his dark eyes narrowed to a squint. "Don't mock me," Bruce hissed. "I haven't come to gloat," said Paul. "I've come to offer you a great business opportunity. It took me 2 years before my internet pipeline was pumping enough profits for me to resign from Cistern. But I've learned a lot since then. I know how to build ultimate pipelines, how to talk to people, how to build teams, how to grow a business by growing people. I've learned a proven system that will empower me and my partners to build another ultimate pipeline, and then another, and another. Pipeline building system: books, tapes, meetings, events, products, goals. 98 I need pipeline partners, Paul continued. "I'll teach you everything I know about building web-based pipelines, and I won't charge you 1 red cent for it. All I ask in return is that you learn the system I teach you and then teach it to others, and have each of them teach it to others, until there are ultimate pipelines in every city in North America, and eventually, ultimate pipelines in every household in every city in the world." Paul Bruce equals others. Just think, Paul continued. "We could make a small percentage of every online purchase that goes through our ultimate pipelines. The more volume that goes through our online pipelines, the more money that will flow into our pockets. The ultimate pipeline I built isn't the end of a dream. It's only the beginning. Paul finally saw the big picture. He smiled and extended his hand to his cousin. They shook hands, and then hugged like long-lost friends. Returning the favor, years passed. Paul and Bruce had long since retired. Their worldwide internet pipeline businesses were still pumping millions of dollars a year into their bank accounts. The old friends had time to travel and visit exotic places all over the world. One day, Bruce asked 99 Paul to meet him for lunch. He had some exciting news to share. "Paul, years ago you gave me a very special gift by sharing a web-based business opportunity with me. That gift changed my life forever. I've been racking my brain for years trying to think of a way to repay the favor. That's why I invited you here today. Here's my gift to you." Bruce slid an envelope toward Paul. Inside were 2 first-class tickets to Italy. 2 tickets to Italy, round-trip ticket to Italy, round-trip ticket to Italy. "You don't have to," Paul started. But Bruce cut his friend short. "Let me do the talking for right now," said Bruce. "Ever since we were little kids, our parents have been telling us that our families emigrated from Italy. Well, with the help of the internet, I've been able to trace our family roots back to 2 cousins who lived in a small village in central Italy. Paul, this is my gift to you," Bruce continued. "We're going to return to that village. We're going to walk to the town square where our great-great-great-great-grandfathers and all of the other villagers met to fill their buckets from the town cistern. And we're going to get down on our knees and thank our forefathers and God for 100 building a pipeline of blessings that has flowed freely into our lives." Coming full circle, Paul stared at his cousin in stunned silence. Then he reached over and held both of Bruce's hands firmly in his. "I only have one request," Paul said quietly. "Can you change the departure date from next week to tomorrow?" Number 2 weeks later. The airport in Rome was packed. Paul and Bruce were returning to the States after 2 wonderful weeks in Italy. They'd walked the streets of their forefathers and dined in the homes of dozens of long-lost relatives. It was the trip of a lifetime, and both men felt renewed and reconnected by the visit. They sat side by side in the terminal, reading copies of the same book. Every now and then one of the men would lean over to his friend and point out a passage from the book. No. Not again," cried a man across the aisle. "My flight has been cancelled again. I'll never get out of here." "That's our flight, too," said Paul, motioning to the monitor suspended above them. "Cancelled? Now what?" Paul looked over to his old friend. Bruce returned the look and then they just smiled. "You thinking what I'm thinking?" grinned Paul. 101 looks like we've got to stay another week," they shouted in unison as they jumped out of their seats to high-five each other. The man across the aisle gawked at the 2 friends as if they were aliens. "What are you guys so happy about?" he asked incredulously. "I've been stuck in this airport for 2 days. I missed my daughter's birthday party for the 2nd year in a row. I've been in so many time zones during the past month that I don't know what day it is. If that's not enough, I'm going to miss my numbers for the year because my client got greedy and refused to settle. We're sorry, said Bruce. We can sympathize. We used to react the same way, didn't we, Paul? Sure did, said Paul. Stressed out. Tapped out. Burned out. Worn out. You think of an out, and we had experienced it. That was way back in the pre-pipeline days, right, Bruce? What do you mean, pre-pipeline days? Asked the stressed-out stranger. What's that all about? Love to explain, Paul said happily. But my fiend and I have to scoot over to the car rental desk. Give me your business card, and one of us will call you when we get back to the States. The stressed stranger handed Paul his business card. In exchange, Paul handed him his book. Here, read this while you're waiting for your flight, Paul said. When I call you, the book will give us something to talk about. Paul patted Bruce on the back and steered him toward the rental car desk. He paused long enough to read the stressed stranger's business card. 102 Bob Bruno, ESQ attorney at law 1-800 SUE-THEM Bob Bruno, attorney at law, Paul said. I'd say Mr. Bruno would welcome the opportunity to build a pipeline, wouldn't you? Bruno. Bruno. Bruce slowly pronounced the name. The name Bruno sounds awfully familiar. For some reason, Bruce, I've got a good feeling about this guy Bruno, Paul said. Same feeling I had when you joined me in the business. I think our new friend Bruno is going to be one fine pipeline builder. Paul and Bruce glanced back at their new acquaintance. The stressed-out attorney cradled the book in his lap. Staring intently at the cover, he mouthed the title silently to himself. Then, gently, like an old man opening a gift from his favorite grandchild, Bruno opened the book called The Parable of the Pipeline and he began to read. 103 One pipeline is worth 8,000 paychecks. We're living in the most affluent economy in decades. Yet millions of people are still living from paycheck to paycheck, working longer and longer hours just to stay even. Why? Because they bought into the wrong plant. They've fallen for the time for money trap. You know, a day's work for a day's pay. A month's work for a month's pay. Sound familiar? Whether you're $0,000 a year dishwasher or $100,000 a year doctor, you're still trading 1 unit of time for 1 unit of money. You're still living paycheck to paycheck. As for job security, if you can't do the work because of layoffs, illness, injury, or retirement, the paychecks stop. Where's the security in that? How do you escape the time for money trap? By building pipeline of ongoing residual income. Burke Hedges, author, speaker. Entrepreneur Burke Hedges has championed a crusade for personal and financial freedom for more than a decade. Today, his 7 books have been translated into 10 languages and sold more than 2 million copies worldwide. Burke resides in the Tampa Bay area with his wife and 4 children. With residual income, you do the work once and get paid over and over again. That's why one pipeline is worth 1,000 paychecks. Pipelines keep pumping day after day, year after year, whether you're there to the work or not. Now, That security, true financial security. The parable of the pipeline will teach you now